What's up everyone, welcome back to another Warhammer 3 replay. We have my very first tournament win today to show you guys. It was a single faction tournament I played a few weeks ago now. So I was Orcs for the entire tournament. I think I got beat most of my games. I think I won 1 out of 5 and that's this one. We're going to be coming up against Wood Elves. So little thoughts going into this one with very little experience of the game. Or Wood Elves are going to shoot me a lot. So I thought, let's go heavy infantry, supported with a little bit of range and then a lot of fast sort of mobile cav and units that can really dive in backlines. So we sort of come in here with the front line of Orc Boys and Orc Biggins. We have Azag flying around in the air with Soul Blight and Spirit Leech. And then we have a few other units in the trees. We bought the Fanatics, Night Goblins there who can do some good damage in there. We've spawned in some Spider Riders. So our cavalry was a lot of Spider Riders and some of the Biggin Cav. So we're just going to start moving up here and seeing what we can do if we can get on this objective. We want to take our home objective and then we want to see if we can sort of start and push over and put a little bit of pressure on their home objective as well. So everyone's just sort of rolling up here at the moment. Got Azag just cruising around, seeing if we can spot anyone in the trees. Come back over this main side here. For the Wood Elves, for Outpost, we've got the Glade Lord, we've got some War Dancers, we've got some Spear Shield Infantry, the Eternal Guard, we've got a few Archers in the trees, we've got some Way Watchers in there, more War Dancers in the trees, and then some Deepwood Scouts coming in with the shards ammunition, so doing some magic damage. Alright, both armies just posturing up a little bit here. The Wood Elves are gonna look like they'll be the first ones to push over their home objective and start and make a move on objective 2 here. Got some shots already coming in into the front of these Orc Boys here. Their shields will mitigate some of that damage, but prolonged fire will start and chip them down fairly quickly. As the first engagement is about to get underway, it's going to be over in the trees here. We'll have a little bit of a look in these trees as these units all engage each other. Look at the size of these orcs and these war dancers. These ladies don't mess around. They're going to do some serious work. We've got the next engagement about to happen here, and then our front lines will run down that as they will engage as well. So these archers are going to keep firing through us. These Night Goblin Fanatics will do nice work on them, as we're about to see these front lines clash. Big clashes coming in. Lots of fire coming in from both sides. These spearmen look like they're going to get a bit of a wraparound. This Moose ain't playing no games, just running people over. Very nice frontline engagement as the spells are starting to come out. So over on the third objective, we've got Spider Riders that have just been cruising around. They've secured that base objective, objective 3 down there. They're doing alright. The War Dancers are trading very well into our Orc Biggins. We've managed to get a little bit of a surround on some of the archers that came out of the trees while they shoot into the backs of our frontline units, which are going to melt us very quick. We're going to trade very poorly in these archer fights. That's why I only bought 2 Arrow Boys and not much else in the way of range. We just don't really want to try and play the game that the Wood Elves are going to be better at than us. Lots of capture rate, lots of engagements. The wire goes off, which is going to give us very good stats to start and pull ahead in value a little bit and really work through these quite defensive Wood Elven frontline units. Azag has landed into these archers to shut them down, but we don't want to stay there for too long, because if you get surrounded or focus fired, it's going to do a lot of damage to him very quickly. The Eternal Guard with shields and spears in the center have managed to rout some units off that are coming back. The big rogue idol coming in, so this is something I bought in nearly every game, and I mean, in hindsight, some of them it was good, some of them it wasn't, but this one, it becomes a really nice anchor on this back point, something that's going to take a lot of units quite a long time. If he gets focus fired, he'll start and lose health very quick, but it is going to cost him a lot of ammunition as well to do so. The Glade Lord's taken a lot of damage in here. He's sort of been surrounded by a couple of different units in there and has taken quite a bit of damage. On this far side, Post has summoned in some of his Glade Cav there just to really start and do some work and try and catch these units out. But the Spider Riders have, and the Wolf Riders have quite a bit more armor, so they're going to mitigate that damage a lot better in a 2v1 situation. They're going to win that fight, especially with the rear charges coming in there. Some more unsummoning happening on both sides, just getting those units back into the pool. The Night Goblins Fanatics have traded quite well, so they got quite a good amount of value, if I can get them. Yeah, 1159 value is very nice for them. Although they are getting shot in the back now, the trees will provide a little bit of cover, but they should be able to finish off those War Dancers, and they break, which is sad. But they've done enough work. They've done quite a lot of work. Those War Dancers on Silver Chevron already, that is insane. What are they on? Yeah, 1000 value, that 176 kill there. They're going to be dangerous. We don't want too many of those getting in our backfield. As Ag's cruising around, the Rogue Idol is absolutely stomping this Glade Lord back into the hills. He's going to cause them some big problems. But Azag's still cruising around trying to avoid getting too many pincushion arrows in him. So the Wood Elves, with their sustained fire and combat, have managed to really push us back off this objective and cause some big problems. This Rogue Idol and Azag are really going to be relied on here to hold the tide of the Wood Elves back as we unsummon some more units to try and get a bit more support coming in. Value is still about 2,000 apart, a little bit under that, as we did summon in some Orc War Biggins just to try and get into this backfield and really shut down that shooting. It was sort of from this moment in the fight where I decided that I really need to start and put a lot more pressure on their backfield because they're just getting way too much value without contest. And so we decided to go a little bit more, keep the cav coming out, really try and push their units off and give our infantry units a chance to fight unimpeded without getting arrows rained down on them. So Azag's going to come down on the opposite side as the Biggins go in one way to try and shut down these other archer units and get this range firepower shut down as our Rogue Idol goes to work on the point. We have routed off the War Dancers in the backfield. We have some more units that need to be unsummoned. We spawn in another wave of reinforcements of Biggins. So the unsummoning to get units back into your reinforcement pool is just something I've learned very quickly is so important. You never know when you're going to need those units again, and it's the micro required is quite high to compete in these tournaments. And this one was very fortunate that it was a new player tournament, so we have a little bit more time to think about what we want to do, and otherwise aren't sort of fighting those really top tier players. But those guys are insane. I've watched quite a lot of replays, and those players are mental. The way they're able to micro across the battlefield to the incredibly high standard is very impressive. The Glade Riders have caught up with our Goblin Wolf Archers and managed to rout them off as we spawn in some more Goblin Spider Rider Archers. I like this fast sort of missile playstyle with Cav where you can just sort of poke, and really before it gets to a melee fight you're going to do a lot of good work. So we have pushed over the objective. The Spider Riders and the Orc Boar Boys are causing some problems in the backfield for the Wood Elves. As we can see, the momentum has very much shifted again and allowed us some time for our reinforcements to come back up on the field. The Rogue Idol looks like he's going to go in and see if he can sort this Glade Captain out and remove him from the battlefield. Massive clap. Huge damage. Get nice and close in on this and see if we can watch him. Oof. He just headbutted him, and that did not look like it tickled. And that is going to send him off the battlefield. If all else fails, use your head. Azag's starting to take some focus fire here. He has done what we wanted him to and routed off those units, but he needs to now get out of there before he takes too much unnecessary damage. A Rogue Idol fighting those single entities and a lot of other units has taken quite a bit of damage now, so he's looking like if he gets focus fired too much more, it's going to be a bit of a problem. We have managed to pull ahead in value to 2.7 now instead of the original under 2,000. The reinforcement Spider Riders and Goblin Riders on Objective 3 have done very well for us. And then back on this front side, yes, you can see they are going to start hunting down this Rogue Idol. This point I probably should have brought him back as far as I could and started using his rocks, but at the same time too, there's quite a lot going on in the battlefield and a little bit of lack of micro and decision making. He does get rampaged there and goes out of control, so unfortunately he is going to be paying the price, but has served us well. More reinforcements coming in from both sides. We've got some more Glade Riders just hunting off some routing units. Plenty of missiles coming in. They're really focusing down that Rogue Idol, and he's going to say goodbye for the day. Got Azag chasing off some of the Glade Riders, just making sure they don't return behind our lines. We've got some big uns on the point already. We've got some Araboys trying to get some shots in to see what they can do. More big uns on the far side, and then again some more Orc boys coming in. So the reinforcements are well on their way to this point. Got the Firebark Elves coming in. Really nice unit for the Wood Elves. Very thick. Especially these Regiment of Renown version. They're just so tough to get through. And they can cause some big problems and really anchor a point if you can protect their flank. It's very, very nice. So we have got more Glade Riders coming over. This one Glade Rider at a time is probably never going to be enough to really take this point off us. Especially once we notice and get the micro happening. And also our Forest Goblin Spider Riders in the forest there also rallied. So we could really try and get a three-way pincer movement there and get rid of those Glade Riders off the battlefield. Back on our home objective, we have fallen back to about the halfway point of our home objective and really want to draw the Wood Elves out and just bring them in as we have some more big uns on their big hogs just cruising around. The War Boys are going to come in and see if they can cause yet more problems for this Wood Elf back line. Now that a lot of our units have got up together and we're sort of ready again, we might start pushing forward and see if we can re-engage the front line here. With how close our reinforcements are, our reinforcement point is, sometimes fighting off the back of an objective isn't a terrible idea. You just got to be careful not to rock too far back, that you have room to still get units and get models onto those objectives to keep capture weight. So as you can see, we're paying the toll here. These big uns, even with their armor, are taking a lot of damage as they run in, and then we are going to drop a Spirit Leech on those archers. We want to start getting them out of there. No amazing targets on the field. We're at almost 1100 value in, so I really want to start getting some of these units off the field. On the far side, we end up with a bit of a mass mounted units over there. I wanted to spawn in as a bit extra over this side. This time it seemed you wanted to constantly keep threatening that back objective, but I also needed some more fast flanking units to come over from the trees and get into the back line as the more Eternal Guard reinforcements for the Wood Elves come rolling on in. And again, more Orc big uns from myself rolling in the backfield there. This constant sustained fire is really gaining value. Look at that, 1700 value for those Waywatchers is very, very nice. And these Glade Guard over here are at nearly 800 value, so they're almost paying for themselves. The Deepwood Scouts, 1600 value. Even a small unit with not much health, you really need to keep on top of them. And then we've got some other Glade Guard here who have got 369, but they ate some charges from cavalry, so we can't expect them to be too crazy as the Forest Goblins come over and start nibbling on these Waywatchers who have already done the damage and are probably okay to be unsummoned or just taken off the battlefield. The Treekin are now being shot in the back by the Spider Riders that we brought over. We've got more Eternal Guard coming in. We've got a few other units. So at this point, the Orc Biggins I'd want to unsummon, which we do. And then the Boar Boys, I probably wouldn't unsummon them being a cav unit with 17 models still. They are quick enough and have enough utility to maybe go and shut down some archers rather than resummon them. And that's sort of what we want to do there. You shut them down as we have more and more reinforcements just trickling in, trying to keep the weight up there, keep the mass up there, as the Wood Elves are looking rather thin themselves on the front lines. Unfortunately, our Boar Boys do rout off before they're able to make connection with the Glade Guard, so they're going to be able to shoot for a bit more. Drop more Spirit Leeches. We had plenty of Winds of Magic, and the game was getting into the much later stages, so I just wanted to start and rout some units off as much as I could and try and really make these units easier to break. Firebark Elders would have been a much better target, but we did get them with a Soul Blight, so they are going to take a lot of damage with that massive debuff on them. Almost at the 1400 point mark, so things are looking very well. We've got plenty of reinforcements coming, and that's it. So the Wood Elves are going to tap out there before we get to the end. I think with the reinforcements coming in, it was a little bit too much. The Biggins was the play in the end that went fine. There's a few tweaks I would make, I think, in the end, but yeah, it's just for a first win and a first game in that matchup, it was not too bad at all. The Wood Elf player did very well, and we're both new players to the game, so it was very nice to get some games in. But that's going to be it for this replay, and hopefully you enjoyed it. Hit that like, subscribe, keep the bell notification going. We're doing tons of content as as we let you know in every video, and hopefully we'll catch you in the next one.